Welcome back to She Rises Daily, Emerging You in 10. I'm your host, Doc Shelley, here to bring you your daily dose of inspiration, empowerment, and growth. Have you ever noticed how quickly your mind fills in the blanks? Your boss sends you a message that says, "Can we talk tomorrow?" A friend reads your text but doesn't respond. Someone walks past you without saying hello. A coworker is unusually quiet in a meeting. None of those situations tell you very much. And yet, within seconds, many of us have already written the rest of the story. They must be upset with me. I probably did something wrong. They're ignoring me. This isn't going to end well. It's kind of fascinating, isn't it? Our brains don't particularly enjoy unanswered questions. Our brains want certainty. Our brains want an explanation. Our brains want everything to make sense. The challenge is that sometimes the story we create has very little to do with reality. Today, I want to explore why our brains rush to fill in the blanks and why learning to slow that process down can change the way we lead, the way we communicate, and how we relate to the people around us. Your brain craves certainty. Your brain is constantly asking one question: what is going on here? When all the information is available, that's a really easy question to answer. However, life rarely gives us complete information, so our brains do something pretty remarkable. They create the explanation, not because the brain is trying to deceive us, not because something is wrong with us, but because uncertainty is uncomfortable. Our brains would rather have an explanation than an unanswered question. The problem is, an explanation is not necessarily the truth. Sometimes it's simply the fastest story our brain could assemble. Here's where things get tricky, because assumptions feel like facts. The longer we sit with our assumptions, the more convincing they become. What began as a guess slowly starts feeling like evidence. Before long, we are reacting emotionally to something that might not even be true. We've all done it. We assume someone's tone meant something. We assume silence means rejection. We assume feedback means failure. We assume a delay means bad news. Assumptions have a funny way of disguising themselves as facts. When we stop questioning them, they begin shaping our decisions, our relationships, even our confidence. I cannot tell you how many coaching conversations I have had that begin with someone saying something like, "I know what they're thinking." So I'll ask, "How do you know?" And almost every time the answer is some version of, "Well, I don't actually know. I guess I kind of assumed." And it's such a simple moment, but it's a really incredibly powerful one, because the second we separate what we know from what we have assumed or what we have guessed, things change. Suddenly, there's room for curiosity. There's room for perspective shifting. There's room for a different explanation, room for a conversation instead of a conclusion. I have seen relationships improve because someone stopped assuming. I have seen leaders become more effective because they asked one more question instead of making one more conclusion. Sometimes the breakthrough isn't finding the right answer. Sometimes it's realizing you've been answering a question that was never actually asked. Curiosity is often healthier than certainty. When we become convinced our story is correct, curiosity all but disappears. We stop asking questions, we stop listening, we stop exploring other possibilities and different perspectives. Curiosity sounds different. I wonder what's going on. I wonder what else could be true. I wonder if there's information I don't have yet. Curiosity makes you wise, because curiosity keeps the door open long enough for the truth to walk on in. The next time your brain rushes to explain someone's behavior, slow the story down. Try this on and see how it works for you. Separate the facts from the story. The fact might be, they have not responded to my text. The story might be, they're upset with me. Those are not the same thing. When we learn to slow the story down, we create space. space for better questions, space for better conversations, space to check things out with each other, space for compassion, and sometimes space to discover that what we feared wasn't actually true at all. Not every blank needs to be filled in immediately. Some blanks deserve curiosity before certainty. Here's your reflection question. Where in your life have you mistaken an assumption for a fact? And what might change if you became curious before becoming certain? And your power thought, my brain may rush to fill in the blanks, and wisdom knows when to leave space for the truth to emerge. Our brains are remarkable. They are constantly trying to help us make sense of the world around us. And sometimes, in their desire for certainty, our brains create stories that deserve a second look. The next time you find yourself convinced you know what's happening, pause. Ask yourself, what do I actually know? And what have I added? That simple distinction can change a relationship, a conversation, a decision, and sometimes even the way you see yourself. This week, pay attention to the moments when your mind immediately explains someone else's behavior. Before accepting that first explanation, ask yourself, is this actually a fact or is this my best guess? You may be surprised how often curiosity creates a better outcome than certainty. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of She Rises Daily, Emerging You in 10. Until next time, remember, not every unanswered question needs an immediate answer, and not every blank needs to be filled with a story. Leave room for curiosity, leave room for truth, and leave room to be surprised.